the Edward Snowden phenomenon. What's your sense? How do you parse that as in any way that you want to grab the elephant?
Well, my top level reaction.
The trunk or the tail or the ear.
You know, first of all, what was the government thinking? You know, we learned in the age of photocopiers that there's no such thing as a permanent secret.
Right.
So what were they possibly thinking this wouldn't get out? Beyond that, my initial reaction was a little bit like Henry Kissinger's quip in the first few days of the Arab-Israeli 7-day war. Someone said, "Dr. Kissinger, who would you like to see win?" And he paused and he said, "It would be nice if both sides lost."
It's a pity they both can't lose.
Yeah, but, you know, it's at moments you look at the NSA and you think, you know, the NSA has to be a mole for Al-Qaeda. That's the only explanation here, because the economic damage that their mass collection of information caused. You know, a lawyer would say, this is strict liability. You collected a dangerous thing that escaped. This is no different than putting a dam on your property and impounding water, and the dam fails and it floods out your neighbor down the river and say, well, hey, it's just water. It's like, no, you're strictly liable.
Right. I never heard that metaphor. That's really interesting.
The mistake was collecting the information to begin with. And, you know, national security cost of that, the economic damage to the United States, you know, the very real loss of value of American technology companies who can't get customers abroad, and now the pressure to create separate intranets and the like.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, I'm fascinated by about 5 things that you've said. One thing that occurs to me is, because this technology is less proprietary and sort of easier to understand, why wouldn't every despot and tyrant and dictatorial regime want to have their own phone record collection operation?
But, Will, as a venture capitalist, you of all people understand this, and that is, there's a shortage of geeks.
Do you really think that's true? I mean, it seems to me that there is a geek culture all over the planet. There are Moldavian programmers.
Oh yeah, it's growing up.
Kazakhstan, and the technology is relatively easy to clone. I mean, once you've been shown it, it's not like, oh, I need a centrifuge. Where would I get one of those? It's like, you know, it's all sort of it's insight-driven science. It's not equipment-driven science.
I agree. And then all you need to do is add in drones.
If you could oversee or listen in to every Facebook conversation in Egypt, how could Tahrir Square ever have taken place? I mean, this is the dictator's best friend, the ability to, and I don't know,
it's funny you mention this.
I grew up in the Ellsberg and Pentagon Papers and Vietnam War era, and so my ability to believe everything that government tells me with a sincere face is relatively reduced as to what it might have been in my father's era. And so when people look me in the eye and say, don't worry, we're only collecting metadata, I mean, I just start giggling, because in the newsroom, we could take any phone number and find out whose phone number it was in about 2 seconds. And the government says, oh, but yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that. But we're not doing that without a court order. And I'm thinking like, oh yeah, got it. Court order. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well,
how's that coming?
Yeah,
I just find the whole thing to be preposterous, that they're not building a kind of Orwellian system that with modest effort can follow us from moment to moment.
You know, the other thing about the NSA, it's evocative of a long time ago. David Brower once said of the Bureau of Reclamation and the Army.
Know this is going to be good. So
the Army Corps of Engineers. He said the Army Corps of Engineers are like beavers; they cannot stand the sight of running water. Well, the NSA are the cyber equivalent of that. They just can't stand the idea of any data getting away, and they just, like beavers, are going to collect it up, even though it's useless to them and dangerous to the country.